Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'll be showing you illustration of how to visualize qualitative data. What is qualitative data? Qualitative data is data that approximates and characterizes. It can be observed and recorded. It is non-numerical in nature. It is also known as categorical data. It has subtypes that are nominal data and ordinal data. Nominal data is data that has no inherent order, while the ordinal data is data that falls into ordered categories. The data type in qualitative data visualization is non-numerical in nature. This type of data can be usually collected through methods of observation. For example, a one-to-one interview, conducting focus groups, and similar methods. A bar chart is one of the most commonly used charts that can be used to visualize qualitative data. In this video, I'll be showing you how to create bar charts in Python to illustrate qualitative data visualization. To illustrate how qualitative data visualization works, I'm going to be using the data set from an Airbnb listing in New York City. So we're going to visualize that data. This is the CSV file that contains the listings for Airbnb in regions of New York. So I've created a new directory called data visualization, and I'm going to start the Jupyter Notebook server in this directory, which will contain this listings CSV that contains the Airbnb listings for New York. I have started my Jupyter Notebook server in this new directory I created. And inside that directory here, we can see this listings.csv that contains Airbnb listings in New York. So what I want to do is create a new notebook. So I click on new and I click Python 3 and I'll wait for it to load. This is a new notebook. I need to click to give it a name, and I'm going to call it Visualizing Qualitative Data. So I've now given my notebook a name. The next thing I want to do is import the Python libraries I want to use to perform the visualization. So I've now imported the Python libraries here. I've imported pandas and I've referred to it as PD, which is an alias name. And I've also imported matplotlib.pyplot, and I'm going to refer to it throughout this notebook as PLT. So anywhere you see me using PD in this notebook, I'm referring to pandas. Anywhere you see me using PLT, I'm referring to matplotlib. And anywhere you see me using SN in this notebook, I'm referring to cbon. Matplotlib.pyplot is a collection of functions that allows you to create figures and plots and also make changes to them in Python. So I'm just going to run the cell to register these libraries. Cbon is a Python library that helps you construct attractive and informative visualization. So now that we've got our libraries imported, next thing I want to do, I want to use the pandas library to read in the CSV file. In this cell here, I'm using the pandas library, which I'm referring to it by its alias name of PD, and I'm using the read_CSV method from the pandas library to read in this CSV called listings.csv. This file, this CSV file, is located in the same directory that I started the Jupyter Notebook server. So it's going to read it from there, and then it's going to store the data frame that is going to be returned. It's going to store it in this variable called listings. So I've created a variable called listings. So the data frame that returned will be stored in this variable. So I'm just going to run the cell to register that. So now it should have stored the data frame inside this variable called listings. So to see what it looks like, all I need to do is call this variable by its name, which is called listings, and run the cell. You can see here now it has now returned the data set. So this consists of Airbnb listing in some areas of New York City. The next thing I want to do is create a bar chart using some of this data set. So let's say I want to create a bar chart that will display the count of Airbnb listings in each neighborhood group of New York City from this data frame. So this is the neighborhood underscore group. So this is what I'm going to target and create a bar chart from that, so that it shows me the count of the Airbnb listing in each neighborhood group of New York City. To do that, this is how I would represent it. I'm going to use the count plot method from the Seaborn library. Seaborn here is represented by SN, which is the alias. So I'm using the count plot method from the Seaborn library, followed by this method, this show method here. So inside this count plot method, I am setting the x-axis to equals to the neighborhood underscore group, and I'm using the show method from the matplotlib to show the bar chart that is going to be returned. And here, this data here, I'm basically saying I want the data to come from this variable called listings. This data parameter here, I've set it to listings, which basically indicates that I want to display the data that comes from the listings data frame. All right. And again, the x-axis here is the neighborhood group, which indicates that I only want to display the data that comes from this particular column. And then here we're using the show method from the matplotlib library to show the bar chart that's going to be created. So let's go ahead and run the cell. So I just click on the cell and click run. And you can see here, we now have a bar chart created from that data frame. So looking at the bar chart, we can see that Manhattan is the neighborhood group with the highest count of Airbnb listings in New York City, followed by Brooklyn, followed by Queens, followed by the Bronx, and then you've got Staten Island. Next, I want to create a bar chart that is going to display the average price of Airbnb listings in each neighborhood group of New York City. And I'm going to use the data from the listings data frame. So this is the code here I have in my cell. I'm using the bar plot method from the Seaborn library. So we'll call the x-axis referencing the neighborhood group column. And for the y-axis, I am adding a price label, and we're getting the data. This data parameter basically means we're getting the data from the data frame called listings, and we're using the show method from the matplotlib to show the chart. So let's go ahead and run the cell. So I click inside the cell and I run. And you can see here, we've got the data back. So the bar chart has been created. Notice in the bar chart, you can see these black lines in the middle of each of the bars. They basically are used to mark confidence intervals. These were generated by the bar plot method. Confidence intervals are an important concept in data science, but it's not within the scope of this video. So I'm not going to go into details of that. I just want you to know what the black lines are. They are referred to as confidence intervals. Let's say I want to recreate this bar chart without the black lines. I can achieve that by still using the bar plot method, but this time I will include a special parameter called CI, which I will set the value to false, and that should remove the black lines. So here I'm trying to recreate this bar chart here, but without the black lines. So this is the code here. So I've added this extra parameter called CI, and I've set the value to false, and that should remove the black line. So let me run the cell. I click run, and you can see now the bar chart has been created, but without the black lines. As you can see from the bar chart, Manhattan has the highest average price for Airbnb listings in New York, followed by Brooklyn, and then we have Staten Island, we've got Queens, and then we've got the Bronx. So that's it for this video. In this video, we learned how to visualize qualitative data. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.